For daily ask Reddit, Redditors who make over $100,000 a year, what jobs, promotions, and steps did you take to get there, and what was getting that first big paycheck like? Not me, but my wife. I was carrying the load and getting by when we got together. She got a job as a part-time clerk for a small company, 15 employees. She was part of the support staff for the company's salesman. She is efficient and focused when she works, does not Reddit or FB or text. She does her job while working. Anyway, after a couple of years she saw an avenue of income that her company was not exploiting. They already had a customer base, but were not selling a line of related items. She looked into it, did the research for what it would take to expand into that area, then went to the company president and made her presentation. For a modest investment, the salesman could let their customers know that they now offered this and that. The press went for it and said she would head up that new department, just her, and would grow as the new program grew. It took off immediately. She was made full-time and given a substantial raise. The president retired shortly thereafter. The new guy was actually the top salesman who had thrived under my wife's idea. On day one he said he wanted to expand even further on the program and asked what she needed. He gave her 2 assistants, a raise in base pay, and said she should also get 10% commission on all sales made on this line of products. The company has grown to 50 employees. The program has continued to grow, and she makes pretty good money. And she never went to college. My 20-year career path out of college looks like this. Edit. It's been a few days, so I'm editing out the details. Long story short, started out doing tech support, now an executive. Luck, timing, politicking, ass kissing, networking, but mostly I think it's being the guy who gets shit done. 2 of my moves to new companies were because a former boss went first and then brought me along. You can only spend so much money each week or month, so once you get a certain paycheck amount, it becomes more about long-term goals. Socking away for retirement, funding college savings plans, and budgeting for good vacations and trips. Current business owner, took nearly 7 years to crack $100,000, now doing fairly well year in and year out. My tip apply to being a business owner, but directly relates to being a manager and maybe other aspects of working. Just because you are in a position of authority doesn't mean you should sit back and give orders. To this day I work as hard as any employee I have. If others are busy, I take out the trash, vacuum, and other small tasks you might not think a manager or owner would do. Any workplace is a team, and while you are the boss, you must also show everyone around you that you work hard, and as a result they work harder for you. It's better to be a leader and go into battle alongside your troops than be a king and sit back and shout orders. Currently exceeding 100k by a good margin. Worked my ass off for years, trying to get better and better at what I do. Made lots of friends and contacts who trust me. Looked for opportunities. Made a couple silly choices. Then seized my latest opportunity by the balls. I'm currently working 50 to 60 hours a week, but trying very hard to get that down. But in a great spot. Currently enjoying an opportunity overseas. That first big paycheck was really a long series of progressively slightly larger checks and associated tax bills. Not nearly the moment you imagine. Actually far more underwhelming than you'd expect. Even the big jumps don't end up as big as you think they'll be. It's easy to imagine that your life will transform once you hit X threshold. But it doesn't. Not usually, anyway. You start buying brand name foods. You get a real bed, maybe get a rug. Then you might realize, hey, maybe I can afford a less old car. And you do, and it's a nice feeling. It's not a movie moment. Generally it's a gradual adjustment of your living standards that keeps pace with your means. Sometimes outpaces. Then one day, years down the road, you find yourself buying a house you never dreamed you could buy and taking your family to Hawaii one year, and you sit back, remembering the years on a stained futon and living on bagged cereal, and think, how'd I do this? It's nice. It's scary. It takes a long time. Keep cranking, man. Get the first job. Be great at that job. Get a raise/promotion. Be great at that job. Move to new company/job. Demand more money. Repeat steps 2 to 5. In terms of getting that first paycheck, it's not like you suddenly go from $25,000 a year to $100,000. It all happens in increments. By the time you get to 6 figures, it's just a bump from the previous check. It's nice, but you really don't notice it until 6 months later anyway. Timeline moving down. Raised on food stamps. Joined the army. Got TS clearance and computer security EXP. Get out of army after 4 years. Get cleared contractor job 3 months later for 50k. Work there for 8 months and jump to another contract paying 72k. Work there for 1 month and jump to another contract paying 95k. Work there for 2 years and get a 10k raise. We had a lot of debt that we are still trying to get paid off, but I get a check for 3k every 2 weeks, so it is pretty sweet. Software developer here. Hired fresh out of college 6 years ago at 45k. Lowballed the salary for my degree to get my foot in the door. As of this year up to 110k working for the same company. I owe this massive increase to several things. Get along with your boss and your boss's boss. They ultimately are the ones who can make big raises happen, and they are much more willing to talk to the head honchos on your behalf if they like you. I've had 3 bosses now, and all of them have pushed on my behalf for 13% plus raises in the middle of the year. Not only do your job, but help teach others how to do this. Your boss will appreciate the team improvement. Do more than your job description. Bonus points if you happen to really like that extra stuff. In my case, I created a bunch of little tools to help automate a bunch of tasks, not just mine, but also beneficial to my coworkers. Always be accepting of change and even embrace it. The software world is changing constantly. Those who can adapt quickly will climb the ladder much faster than someone set in their ways. A little luck